Hey, I'm Jim Barry. Welcome again to Miami Life, the show that zeroes in on the big issues and the intriguing people right here in South Florida. And right off the top today, Alligator Alcatraz, the migrant detention center that the state of Florida rushed to open in the Everglades. The facility already has detainees there. President Trump visited the place on opening day with Governor Ron DeSantis serving as tour guide. He says it's cool, while immigration advocates are calling it cruel. Joan Murray tells us more.
No justice, no peace, no eyes sit on the streets.
As demonstrators marched in front of Alligator Alcatraz, President Trump was inside touring the temporary migrant detention center, built in just 8 days.
We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much.
Alligators fill the swamps around the remote airstrip turned makeshift migrant camp. But there are worries these delicate wetlands, which recharge the region's aquifer, will be compromised and the drinking water supply affected. Martin Johnson traveled 3 hours from the West Coast to drive home that point.
I think it's ridiculous, and it's an environmental disaster. And a lot of innocent people are in there, are going to end up in there.
Miami-Dade's mayor released a statement saying she was outraged by the state takeover and worried about the effect on the ecosystem. Vital, she said, to our clean water economy and tourism industry.
I believe Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have done their best to make this a very livable facility. There's air conditioning, there's food, and I look forward to the progress here.
And the head of Homeland Security urged undocumented migrants to self-deport and avoid a place like Alligator Alcatraz.
Their home countries are welcoming them. They're setting up loans for houses. They've got food assistance. They're helping to facilitate welcoming them home. I just got home from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and they're all excited about getting their individuals back home from the United States.
Now, protesters are waiting to hear the status of the federal lawsuit that's been filed to try to stop this center from operating, but as of now, there are no new developments. In the Everglades, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
And joining us now for a deep dive into this topic is Bacardi Jackson. She is the Executive Director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Florida. So you saw that story, you heard what the governor and the president said. We've also seen the environmental opposition to this. What about the moral opposition to this? Where do you come down on that?
You know, as the ACLU of Florida, it is our job to fight for the constitutional rights of all people in this state. And what is so shocking about this is the normalizing of cruelty. It is the intentional operationalizing of a facility that is intended to segregate people, separate people, to deny them access to counsel, deny them access to family. There are so many layers that are deeply troubling to us and to the whole coalition of people who are working on this issue, from environmentalists to the indigenous tribes on whose land this is being built. Lots of layers to this.
So how does all that translate into legal opposition to it remaining open?
Well, we are already in a fight, in legal battles for the facilities that are in urban areas, because we have seen such cruelty and inhumanity happening already, where we have seen people denied basic medical care, people denied access to counsel, and we have seen people dying. Right in South Florida at the Chrome Detention Center, we have already seen a number of people lose their lives just because they were detained. And, you know, I think as we are looking at this facility that has been put up so quickly, without much regard for any of the environmental requirements or laws, without regard for the dangers that are present naturally, as well as we are in hurricane season, it's very disturbing, and we expect that there will be more inevitable deaths of people who are trapped in cages in a big tent.
That's troubling. What did you think of the spectacle, the president showing up, the governor taking him on a tour of the facility? They were both obviously very pleased with what has transpired so far, and they seem to have blown through any roadblocks that your organization or any others might have put up.
You know, I think the spectacle of this is, again, this hearkening back to what I think are some of the most shameful moments of our history in this country and as in humanity. Again, it is this need to divide people and to stoke fear and hate and to criminalize our neighbors, our co-workers, our friends. 1 in 5 people in this state are immigrants. 54% of the people who live in Miami-Dade County are immigrants. This is our community being criminalized and being set up to have more cruelties imposed upon them as a spectacle, as a politically motivated moment that for some reason they believe will get them points with their base.
The governor says that he is merely following the mandate from the president to crack down on illegal immigration, as he puts it. And he says that this facility is a very practical approach to it because you can house migrants very safely and fly them out very quickly because you have an airstrip right there. Your response? Well,
again, we are concerned about the Constitution, as I think all Americans and patriots of this nation should be. And as we think about the inevitable denial of due process that will come with what is being proposed using the National Guard to be immigration judges, a very specialized area of law, we don't expect to see this be efficiently within the boundaries of our Constitution. And those are the boundaries we really should be protecting here. I certainly don't think there is anything safe about what's being proposed. We've already seen the facility flooded. It is apparent that this has been a very quick turnaround just as a way to score political points. And it's not the mandate of the people. It is not. Most people in this nation do not approve of what's happening on the immigration front right now.
We've seen this city of South Miami and also Key West recently. The commissioners there have voted for their police departments not to be part of the immigration roundup efforts, if you will. What's your reaction to that, and do you expect we'll see more of that?
Yes, that's part of the work that we've been doing. We've been trying to make sure that the local officials who've been elected by local people are representing their interest, and most people are not wanting their governments to redirect their resources to do a job that is a federal job. It's not what is required by our Constitution, but unfortunately our state officials have simply usurped the will of the people and of the local officials with threats, with the kind of coercion that will have them making decisions that are not in the interest of the people who live there or the will of those people. And so, you know, that is one of the, again, the encroachment on our rights, the encroachment on our liberties, the encroachment on our right to elect our officials who will represent us. So I think it is a sad state of affairs that we are in, particularly in this state. One of the things that has become, I think, our greatest export in the state of Florida is regressive policy, and that's a shame.
Very quickly, a lot of people are in this country illegally, undocumented. How do we solve this problem?
You know, I think we know for sure there are more effective ways to address the issues that are happening. In fact, I think we will at some point see probably people being driven even further underground. We already know there are people who are locked behind their doors and who won't come out for basic necessities. So we know that there have been effective methods of community-based systems that have shown that they are effective in getting people to courts. Now people are afraid to show up for their court dates. Now people are afraid to come out of their homes. So I'm not sure that this will ultimately be effective. Certainly we cannot think of it as effective when we have even U.S. citizens being sent out of the country or being threatened with being sent out or being detained, which means you may not come out if you are one of the people who will suffer some of the inhumanities happening there.
Yeah, well, thank you for your perspective on this. Bacardi Jackson, Executive Director of the ACLU here in the state of Florida. When Miami Life returns, if you get a text about paying your SunPass bill, do not fall for it.
I tell anybody I know, anything like that, you block it, don't even open it and just block them and, report scams on your phone.
Yeah, those threatening texts are the latest phishing scheme. We will tell you how AI is playing a role in this scam. Plus, we're going to provide a tour of one of Miami's most historic buildings, which just underwent a much-needed makeover. And welcome back. Well, it seems Miami is a magnet for con artists and scammers. The Federal Trade Commission lists the South Florida area as #1 in the nation for fraud. One of the latest scams is a text in which thieves pretend to be toll companies and demand that you pay overdue tolls. And artificial intelligence is making it seem all the more real. Austin Carter explains how to protect yourself.
At the Pompano Beach rest stop on the Turnpike, Pat Certain is fueling up for his ride to work. He's one of 3 million people who use the Turnpike every day. It's usually a smooth ride until he gets to work and checks his phone.
It's a scam, flat out.
He's been frustrated by months of text messages from SunPass imposters threatening him to pay alleged overdue tolls.
And how many texts have you gotten so far this year?
Oh, a lot. I would say easy dozen.
He knows it's a scam, but he's worried about those not as tech savvy.
Some of the people my age and up, we don't know. And they just drag the people right in, and then they got the lingo.
And the lingo is what's fueling the scam, threatening immediate action. It's gotten the attention of Florida's Attorney General, who announced earlier this year hundreds of fraudulent websites had been taken down. The messages look just like this, with a link to pay now. It claims to be from the state and says if the outstanding balance isn't paid within 24 hours, suspension of the vehicle's registration or even legal action. FDOT tells CBS News Miami that over 4,000 fraudulent websites have been identified and removed so far this year.
These scammers may not even know if you actually have a SunPass transponder or drive on the Turnpike for that matter, but they are willing to roll the dice on 2 things.
The crooks are betting on A, that you have a vehicle, B, that you drive that vehicle.
Security expert Adam Coffrin says scam texts used to be obvious. You'd see misspelled words and bizarre requests, but now the bad guys have another tool, artificial intelligence. It can help make scams seem even more believable. With AI, the crooks can be more time efficient, sending out their scam to more people in a shorter amount of time. We're also seeing the scam not only in Florida, but across the U.S. So how can you protect yourself? Well, here's what to do. When you get a text that feels off, never click links within that message and don't respond to it, even if they ask you to reply to end the messaging. In fact, it's best to just delete any suspicious texts and keep your phone's operating system updated. Also, report the scam text you get to the state. It's the same warning Pat says he will continue to give friends and family.
I tell anybody I know, anything like that, you block it. Don't even open it and just block them and, report scams on your phone.
I'm Austin Carter, CBS News, Miami.
Good advice there. All right, a few weeks ago, we reported on eco lumber, a product made out of sargassum seaweed. Well, that story made us wonder, where does all that seaweed go once it's removed from our beaches? Well, Shane Hinton got a first-hand look at the cleanup.
A job that stretches for miles and miles. That's what Miami-Dade County Parks deals with on a daily basis to keep the coastline clean.
It's Mother Nature, so sargassum is going to come back. There's no way of stopping it from coming back, but we do our best to make sure that the beachgoers have minimal interaction with the sargassum.
17 miles of beach are combed over, typically twice a day, so beaches are clear of the smelly seaweed. A total of 19 tractors tackle the cleanup process, which includes 2 different methods, mixing and raking.
They are mixing the sargassum into the sands. When we integrate the sargassum into the sands, it's actually helping with nutrient loads. The sargassum will decompose over time, helps with producing more nutrients for the beaches.
This process is used for about 16 of the 17 miles of beach covered by the Parks Department. And it doesn't come cheap. It uses about $5 million of the $11 million beach operation budget. The remaining mile of beach uses the raking process, which consists of tractors pulling a device that brings the sargassum through a filtration system. This filter helps collect the seaweed while depositing any collected sand back on the beach. That's at an additional $4 million. An average of 2,000 cubic yards of sargassum is collected each month during the season. That's enough to fill 3/5 of an Olympic swimming pool every month. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection found the beaches at Hallover, Bal Harbor, 32nd to 22nd Street, and Government Cut historically see the most amount of seaweed each year. Sargassum was piled up in Key Biscayne when we visited last month, but they are not included as they are part of a barrier island. What happens to sargassum which gets raked off the beach?
We remove it, and then it's transported to a county-approved site where it's allowed to dry over time, reduce in weight, and then it goes to the landfill at that point.
That county-approved site is Opelika West, and it takes about 3 months for the seaweed to dry out before getting moved to the landfill. While Miami-Dade Innovation Authority is currently conducting pilot studies on 4 programs which could upcycle sargassum, there has not yet been a date determined for when these will receive a green light.
The Chief of Conservation for Miami-Dade Parks said if you're looking for the best time to enjoy a sargassum-free visit to the beach, consider going in the morning around 8 or 8:30 after the cleanup has occurred. Shane Hinton, CBS News, Miami.
Thanks, Shane. I'll keep that in mind. Still ahead of Miami Life, saving a key piece of local history.
And it's so absolutely important that we give our school children the opportunity to see the historical significance of this one-room schoolhouse.
We're going to go inside the oldest schoolhouse in Miami to see exactly how it is being preserved. Well, we know Miami is a forward-thinking city, always looking to the future, but this story is about its oldest schoolhouse. It has been totally restored. As CBS News Miami's Hank Tester explains, it means this important slice of history is going to be around for a long time.
It is a welcome restoration project, a crew hard at work. It was more of a challenge than first realized. The original 1887 Miami schoolhouse always looked great, but then after recently clearing the vegetation,
the wood was rotten, so we took it out.
The one-room schoolhouse sits on the grounds of the Plymouth Congregational Church. Church members paid for restoration years ago. This current project funded in part by the villagers.
And it's so absolutely important that we give our school children the opportunity to see the historical significance of this one-room schoolhouse.
Important kids and parents know who the Coconut Grove pioneers were who built and supported the school that originally stood in Coconut Grove, like Flora McFarland, the first teacher. Now there will be tours. Visitors young and old will see the books, the desks.
It's a breath of fresh air. It's very peaceful. The buildings, such as this one, go back to a simpler time, which is nice.
Hugh Ryan's restoration crew finishing up the building. Ryan grew up in the neighborhood.
I ran around this neighborhood, bicycled around this neighborhood as a kid. As much as the Grove has changed, the Plymouth campus is like an oasis.
We visited the old schoolhouse in April of 2023 as part of a history project. All these artifacts will be reinstalled for visitors to see. As far as the building, nothing has changed with the restoration, just new wood, new paint, still reeks of history, the original board and back construction replicated.
You talk about a labor of love on this job. My roots in this neighborhood, I'm born and raised in Coconut Grove and Coral Gables.
Preserving the past, preserving something historical, something you don't often see in Miami. I'm Hank Tester, CBS News, Miami.
It is good to see that, though. Thanks, Hank, and we'll be right back. All right, up next week at Miami Life, we're going to bring you the story of the softball powerhouse, the Miami Stingrays. This group has been producing big-time female softball players for 2 decades now and helping hundreds earn college scholarships. Jessie Raban runs the group with her husband, and as a former softball player, the Stingrays help her stay connected to the game that she loves.
Coming back and being able to coach has given me that ability to stay in touch with the game. And like teaching these girls to love it it's fun.
The story of the Stingrays next week on Miami Life. All right, let's get some feedback now from the Miami Life audience. And our recent story on dating in South Florida and why it can be rough for some had a lot of you talking. One viewer said, hey, the local dating scene is just fine. It is not hard to be single in Miami, they write. I am single and enjoy it. Okay, but somebody else said, Cupid must not like the sun and humidity down here, saying, Miami is the most materialistic city in the U.S., with younger women going for rich, older guys with yachts. Good luck finding true love. LOL. And I see our camera operator Greg laughing when we said that. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to cbsmiami@cbs.com. That does it for this week's Miami Life. A reminder, new episodes drop every Thursday at 6:30 on the stream. You can also watch all Miami Life episodes on demand on our YouTube channel. I'm Jim Barry. Thanks for watching and enjoy the holiday weekend.